I don't play any instrument. I can beatbox. That helps me produce my drum beats, is I'll beatbox it. Um, and then I just I honestly, I know that it's a gift that God has given me to be able to create quickly. And a lot of that does come from worship. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and from worship and worship leading, it's definitely something spontaneous that happens. It can happen, doesn't always have to happen, but it definitely is something beautiful that happens when you're given a melody and you just start singing that.
Yeah.
Um, this was like a couple years after I started, was in high school. I was in a couple like very small relationships, and one of them was a little bit more long term. After kind of going through that phase, and kind of having to cut that off, that was something that I did in faith. I said, "Okay, God, I'm giving you this. I'm going to move on." That same week, I ran into a guy who was kind of evangelizing. I didn't know at all. He was just talking and just telling me about this place that had music and had DJs, and it's a great community. Come check it out. It's called Gospel Sundays. And that same week, I brought my friend from high school that I'm close with, and we just started going. And that same week that I had ended that relationship was the same week that this church kind of popped out of nowhere. And so I definitely knew that it was God's purpose to kind of open that door for me to walk into. And as I was there, there was a couple other artists that were musicians, that were rappers, and it was a very creative space. It wasn't a space; it was a church, but it was a very creative-driven community that really actually showed me music and really gave me the platform to start and discover, what I was going to do. I had no idea. So
So, okay. So were you in high school then when you found this church?
yeah, I was 16, yeah, 16 years old, 15 years old was when I started going. And then I've been involved in that community for about 10 years. Yeah.
And did you have any music ability whatsoever when you started going to the church?
No, I listened to music, and I think I just couldn't stop. I don't know what it was. I think I felt like I had some sort of disorder as a kid. I've always trying to make like drum beats, and I always had a melodical like desire, but I didn't have an outlet, I guess you could say. So when I went to church, that was all kind of showcased, and provided, and that's kind of where it began.
I mean, because knowing now, listening to your music, like, you sing, you rap, you're a worship leader, like for that to just cultivate as a teenager, like most people, they start doing that when they're like 7, 8. You just jumped in at like 16, 17.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I mean, what was the first start? You started on the drums then? Like, well, how
I
does
don't play. I don't play any instrument, to be honest.
really?
I don't. I know very little music theory, and I don't play any instrument. I can beatbox. That helps me produce my drum beats. Is I'll beatbox it, um, and then I honestly I know that it's a gift that God has given me to be able to create quickly, and a lot of that does come from worship. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and from worship and worship leading, it's definitely something spontaneous that happens. It can happen, doesn't always have to happen, but it definitely is something beautiful that happens when you're given a melody and you just start singing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of, if anything, it is like the reason why I've been able to create the way that I do, and with the perspective that I have, it definitely stems all from worship and what I was shown.
Okay.